Yeah. Okay, before you start typing the hateful comment and telling me that I should just go and, off myself into the distance, please hear me out. Please. Please. Anyways, The Boy and the Heron. I've been able to watch the movie twice, and with that said, this is a very interesting piece, one that I'm extremely a fan of. And this is where you're probably going to say, Ivan, how can you say that The Boy and the Heron is you're a fan of it if you're calling it a bad movie? So this is the thing. I think Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli have done a fantastic piece art wise. It's a beautiful art piece, but I do think it's a bad movie because in a way I don't think it's even a movie. So let me explain. Let me explain. For anyone that hasn't seen The Boy and the Heron, I will be touching on some spoilers. So just FYI, that's going to happen. And if you want just like a short, concise review per se, I will just say that it would be very good for you to watch it. I think it's a fantastic piece, like I said, but you need to go knowing what to expect. Okay, so this is how I'm going to present it. This is allegedly the last film from Miyazaki. Okay, whether that is true or not, it really feels like it. And this is the reason why. When I first watched the movie, I was just kind of confused because it felt like a lot of things were meaningful, but I just didn't know why. Like I consider myself good at picking up symbolisms and metaphors and stuff like that. And I'm a film editor for a living, so studying film is one thing that I do on a daily basis. So the fact that I didn't understand all of these metaphors and I felt like I only grasped like a little bit of the message that it was intended, it felt honestly bizarre. I was very confused by it. And I was like, okay, so clearly there's more to it to this. Now, here's the thing. When I first watched the movie, I arrived to the theater give or take 20 to 15 minutes later. So I felt like the movie um, started and I needed to watch the first 15 minutes of the movie in order to understand it. But the reason is because I was very confused. But then I watched it again and I watched the first alleged 15 to 20 minutes of the movie, and honestly I didn't miss anything. I actually arrived to the theater 2 minutes late. And the first 2 minutes that I watched of the movie were not necessarily essential for me to understand the rest of the movie since I had already seen 98% of it. So I did a little bit of investigation because I was something in me, like a little worm inside of me, told me that this was bigger than I thought it was. That this movie was trying to give something that I was clearly not getting. Every single Studio Ghibli movie up to this point has a message. It says something. The Princess Mononoke talks about nature. The War of the Raccoons talks about deforestation. Howl's Moving Castle talks about finding yourself, finding beauty when you don't find it. Everything, every movie has its theme, its message, and it incorporates metaphors and contrastic imagery for you to pick the message out. But not this one. So I was really confused by it. And then I understood it once I watched a couple of videos on the actual meaning of this movie. So, first off, the reason why I say that this is a bad movie is because as a movie, it's not necessarily accessible or digestible. And if you watch it without any sort of like understanding to what this movie represents, it might be very heavy, just like it was for me. It was heavy and slow paced, so it's difficult to sit through it. But here's the thing: The Boy and the Heron is a very personal piece by Hayao Miyazaki. He decided to craft this movie to just himself, because I never knew this, but the movie does presents us with kind of Miyazaki's life from childhood and things that actually happened to him. And this is something that he pretty much did like a self portrait of. This is kind of a self portrait movie because instead of writing an autobiography or something like that, he decided to do this. And that's where I finally understood the movie. There's many symbolisms throughout the movie. For example, there's a part where the boy is tasked to continue with this, continue creating this world using 13 blocks. And I didn't understand that the 13 blocks represent the 13 movies that Studio Ghibli has done, and how the boy accepts his own mortality and decides to live life without those movies anymore. Pretty much representing Miyazaki himself accepting that the fact that he's 82 years old and he might not have much much future to create another 13 films, little things like that, that when you watch the movie it's very difficult to pick out or to understand exactly why things are the way they are. The blocks are being balanced by a pencil, meaning that those are the movies it has written, and little things like that. And that's why I mean that The Boy and the Heron is not a good movie per se, but it's a fantastic self-portrait piece. So once you, and I don't want to give too much on the story of Hayao Miyazaki and all the investigation that I did, because I think part of the fun of it is for you to discover it. So I'm just going to give you a couple of very important points. First off, Miyazaki sees himself as the boy, obviously, and he is going on this journey through the six rings of the Buddhist reincarnation, where you first go through hell, the hungry souls, then you go through the animals, humans, demigods, and heaven. So the movie will break those six stages into different metaphors to kind of explain the life cycle that one must go through. Now, in each circle, there's different challenges and people that he gets to encounter. One of them being the huge presence of birds of different kinds, to give this sense of freedom from all different cultures, because that's what birds represent. Now, Hayao Miyazaki and his family, like his childhood family, meaning mom and dad and everything. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but pretty much what you see in the movie is what happens to him. Now, this is one of the biggest one. The actual title of the movie is not The Boy and the Heron in Japanese. The title of the movie is How Do You Live? And that is a book that his mother gave him. It means a lot to him. In the movie, the boy does read the book How Do You Live? And makes him very emotional. Now, this would have been a way better title for this movie, because the movie presents Miyazaki the question, how do you want to live now? You've been living up to this point like this. After this, how do you want to live? So I think it was a disservice to change the title to something more artsy, like The Boy and the Heron, considering that this is a piece that is very clearly personal. So the last one, Hiyosaki had three major influences in his life: his mentor and kind of like, let's put it, a partner, not as in romantic, but like kind of business and just kind of friend too. And those are going to be represented in the characters of the uncle as well as the Heron. Uh, and you can see how one affects him and how the boy, or Miyazaki in this case, grows and decides to continue his life through the lessons that they have given him. It's a very interesting piece, and once I did my little research and I understood what the piece was trying to give me, I can say with a 100% certainty, I think this is one of the best pieces of art that I've seen in the last decade, because it is incredibly well done. The acting is superb, the animation is beautiful, the metaphors and the symbolism. Once I did my little research and understood what they actually meant, it wasn't a metaphor to give the world a message or anything. It was literally just Miyazaki telling his life in a way. And once you look at it through that perspective, you can appreciate 100% way more what this is. So this is a fantastic piece, but it's a very difficult film to sit through. It's very, very hard to just like sit and watch and try to make sense of it if you're expecting another Spirited Away or another House Moving Castle. So that's why I say it's not necessarily a good movie, but it's a fantastic piece of art. Let me know your comments, and I'm ready to take the hate. Bye.